East Kent TV. My name is Michael Lee and I'm the project lead for Birdwise East Kent. I'd like to talk to you a little bit today about the project and how you can help us to reduce disturbance to the overwintering birds. Birdwise East Kent has been set up as a partnership between Thanet District Council and Canterbury City Council to reduce disturbance overwintering birds. Now, whilst it's run by the council, it isn't actually costing taxpayers any money. This is an innovative funding strategy whereby for every new house built, a payment is made into the project. It's called a Section 106 payment. This enables us to run each year and also to invest money for the future long term of the project. Because new houses will mean lots of new people moving into the area, there will be loads more people accessing our amazing coast. Now for us, that may be fine, but for our feathered friends, it isn't. And I'll explain a bit more about that later. If you want to know more about our wintering visitors, please watch our video called Daring Dozen on our YouTube channel, Birdwise East Kent TV. There are thousands and thousands of birds that visit our coast each and every winter. They come here because they have to travel from the Arctic tundra, which freezes over in the winter, which means they can't access any food. Some of these birds travel for hundreds, if not thousands of miles across the oceans and seas to our coast. When they get here, it's very important they are able to feed on our diverse coastal habitats to get enough food to fly back in the summer to breed. These birds, as you can imagine, are exhausted and need to rest. Let's take the turnstone, for example. It flies all the way from Canada, which is about 3,000 miles. So when they arrive, they need to rest and they need to spend about 95% of the daytime feeding. When they're feeding or resting, the birds do not want to have to expend energy by flying. This means that every time someone or something disturbs it, it wastes energy. Along the Thanet coast between Whitstable and Pegwell, there has been a massive decline in overwintering birds. Now nationally, this picture is not the same. They've plateaued, the populations aren't going up and they're not going down. But here in Thanet coast, it's a very different story. Now the disturbance particularly affects turnstone as they're loyal to the same beach every winter. So they'll fly back in the summer, breed, and then they'll fly back to exactly the same beach every winter. And it's been noted that some turnstone are staying after the winter because they don't have enough energy reserves to make it back. Which means that sadly they won't be able to breed, which means there are less of the species in future years. Now staying behind may seem as though they can just wait until the next year to fly back. But unfortunately that isn't the case. They're not able to find enough food as disturbance is higher during the summer. If you can picture the volume of people that visit our beaches in the summer, and other birds and animals are also able to outcompete them for food, this means that they perish and then sadly they die. Now this map here will show you where the Daring Dozen migrate from. So firstly, all the way from Canada, we have the turnstone and the ringed plover. From Greenland, we have the ringed plover, the turnstone and the redshank. From Iceland, the sanderling, golden plover, dunlin and oystercatcher. From the Faroe Islands, the golden plover and redshank. From Scandinavia, we have short-stopping turnstone. So as they fly from Scandinavia to West Africa, they'll stop off briefly in the UK to feed up so they've got enough energy to make it all the way to West Africa. Then you've also got golden plover, dunlin, sanderling, curlew and oystercatcher, which will stay over all winter. And then finally, from Russia, you have Brent geese, curlew and lapwing. Now, what actually causes disturbance? Well, many things can and do cause disturbance, from running along the beach to riding a motorcycle along the coast. But frequent disturbances are kitesurfing, cycling, bait digging, walking, and unfortunately, most of all, out of control dogs. These causes are even more important when at high tide. Now, as you can imagine, at high tide, there's less beaches for the birds to feed on, because as the tide comes in, that little strip of land that they feed in gets much, much smaller, and they're pushed closer to the promenade, and therefore closer to us. And the closer to us they are, the more easily they are to be disturbed. But don't worry, you can help. By being aware of these birds and noticing them when you're out enjoying the beach, take in what's around you, especially these magnificent birds, and just how incredible they are and how far they've managed to fly to be here on our beaches and feed. And if they're calling out loudly and watching you, then you're probably a little bit too close, so check your distance. If you're less than 100 metres away, and just back up, give them a bit more space, and then they'll start feeding again. And if you have a dog, that's even more important. So we've created this doggy do code. So the first thing you need to do, just make sure your dog is under control. So do keep your dogs under control. And do keep your dog on the lead if they like to chase birds. Now that's fine on the beach. There are areas where you can go to take them if they like chasing birds and you don't want to walk them on the lead. And if you join the Savvy Sea Dogs in the future, we'll even give you a free lead as well. Do use designated off-lead areas at high tide. Now at the moment, they may be few and far between or hard to find. And in future, we'd like to be able to provide you with places to take your dog to exercise them off-lead away from the coast. Do make sure your dog returns when commanded. This is really important. If your dog notices the birds and wants to chase them, you need to be able to have control and make sure that dog comes back. Now, if that's not possible at the moment, you can train your dog to do that, and we will be able to provide that training for you. So please keep an eye on our website and our social media accounts to keep updates on those things. Now do keep 100 metres between your dog and the birds. This is really important because those birds, if your dog's less than 100 metres away from them, they're very, very likely to take flight, use up energy, which they could use to fly back in the summer. So frequent disturbances of this kind are what causes most problems for these birds. So just make sure your dog is staying its distance away from the birds. Now, this is also important. Do clean up after your dog and use a bin. I'm sure you all do. And if you join Savvy Sea Dogs, we'll also give you a free poo bag dispenser. Also, do visit our website and book onto a guided dog walk and Savvy Sea Dogs training day. Now, if you go to birdwise.org.uk, you may notice that this just covers Gravesend to Whitstable at the moment, and that's because Birdwise North Kent has been in existence for much longer than we have. But after March, you'll be able to log on there and you'll be able to see Birdwise East Kent and sign up to our amazing Savvy Sea Dogs. And if you're a kite surfer, this is also important because you need to access that water, and getting access to the water is what can cause the problem. So waiting until you've crossed the flats to launch your kite is one thing you can do. There's no point in flying your kite if you're not even in the water. So wait until you've crossed those flats or that beach and launch your kite at the shoreline. Now when you're accessing the water, make sure you're giving the birds room at least 100 metres again. Now this is really important. As you're walking along with all your equipment, just watch the birds and see if you see them stop feeding or calling out or looking towards you. And then just slow your pace. Give the birds a little chance to move aside slowly. If the birds start to move very quickly, stop and crouch down before changing your walking direction away from the birds and continue slowly. And if you see the birds start to move quickly, this is probably because they're about to take flight and waste energy. Now once you've launched your kite, please stay clear of the shoreline by at least 100 metres. I'd like to just tell you, I haven't just created these guidelines and rules myself. I've worked with many other people. So our Doggy Do Code has been written with input from the RSPCA, the Dogs Trust, and experienced and qualified dog behaviouralists and trainers as well. Our Kitesurfing guidelines have been written with the support of local kite surfers and trainers at the Kite Pirates Kite School. Now I'd like to also thank Keith Ross for the amazing videos that you've seen in this video, and also you can watch even more of them on his Twitter account at Ramsgate Birds. And also thanks to Nigel Wallace at whiteonesugar.co.uk for all the images I've used as well. Now please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. I look forward to speaking to you in the future. Thank you very much.